The Australian War Memorial has been closed indefinitely with changes flagged to the upcoming ANZAC Day service. Live now to our political reporter Trudy McIntosh, who's at the memorial. Trudy, this is obviously a significant decision, this changed series of proceedings, particularly around ANZAC Day.
Certainly right, Kieran. Over 1 million people visit the Australian War Memorial every year, but the decision was made as of late last night that it will be closed to the public indefinitely. And look around, there's nobody here. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Normally this forecourt would be teeming with school groups who are flocked to Canberra to come and pay their respects, but life at this place has simply had to change as a result of the coronavirus. There are obvious flow-on implications now for ANZAC Day. There had been considerations of a scaled-back service in Canberra in the lead-up to this, but now the decision has been taken that it will be a private ceremony that will be held inside the Hall of Remembrance here at the War Memorial. I've been told that this won't be hundreds of people in this small ceremony. It will only be dozens, and it will be televised around the country. A short time ago, I spoke to Brian Dawson. He is the Assistant Director of the National Collection, on what he thinks about what is a pretty difficult decision for the gallery.
Brian Dawson, thanks so much for your time. Tell me, how difficult was this as a decision to close the Australian War Memorial indefinitely?
For an organisation which is open 364 days a year to the public, that was a very difficult decision, but in some ways easy, as most of the other cultural institutions closed from today, and also we're obviously following the guidance from government.
What impact will this have on ANZAC Day? We know it's coming up in just a few months' time. What changes will this inevitably lead to?
Well, clearly the limits on even outdoor gatherings and social distancing measures means that we won't be able to conduct the traditional ANZAC Day dawn ceremony or the national ceremony, which is generally held later in the morning. We're currently planning to hold a relatively small ceremony, but I'm sure it'll be very solemn and appropriate in the Hall of Memory and with significant sort of guests and speakers at that ceremony.
A lot of Australians would obviously still like to pay their respects on ANZAC Day. Is there any way that people, even at home, could pay their respects to their dears?
I think people will develop, if you like, private ways of noting the sacrifice made by Australians in all wars. I know there's a movement to stand at your end of the driveway, and the memorial runs a website, Places of Pride, which has collected photographs and stories of memorials around Australia in all states and territories. But I'm sure individual Australians will pause. The ceremony which I spoke of earlier, which is planned to be conducted from 5:30 on ANZAC Day morning, will be broadcast nationally, and that's an opportunity, I think, for Australians to share in what is a very important part of our national fabric, but obviously made much more challenging by the COVID-19 epidemic.
Kieran, there's two things to point out here. There is a jobs impact as a result of this closure. The non-essential staff who deal with visitors here at the gallery will no longer be required. They are being stood down for the moment. There is still being work done to maintain the exhibits that are here at the War Memorial for now. Also, the $500 million of renovations that are going on, they are still going on for now, but that may change if we do see further restrictions across the country. I've been told if there is one positive to this closure, it's that the War Memorial now has a bit more time to do some of the renovations internally that they can't normally do when there are visitors inside. So one glimmer of hope there in what is a pretty trying time for the War Memorial, Kieran.
Trudy, thanks for the update on that.